The black waiter served a woman in a wheelchair, but when she handed him a newspaper clipping, Marcus Johnson, a 28-year-old black man, had been working as a waiter at the Silver Spoon, an upscale restaurant in downtown Chicago, for the past 3 years. Despite his bachelor's degree in business administration, the tough job market had forced him to take whatever work he could find. He was known for his warm smile and impeccable service, always going the extra mile for his customers. Growing up in a working-class family on the south side of Chicago, Marcus had learned the value of hard work and perseverance from his parents. His father, construction worker, and his mother, a nurse, had instilled in him a strong work ethic and a deep sense of empathy for others. These values had served him well in his current job, even if it wasn't his dream career. On this particular Friday evening, the restaurant was buzzing with its usual weekend crowd. The clinking of glasses and the murmur of conversation filled the air as Marcus skillfully navigated between tables, balancing trays and taking orders. Little did he know that this shift would be different from any other he had experienced before. As he approached his assigned section, Marcus noticed a woman in a wheelchair being seated at one of his tables. She appeared to be in her mid-50s, with silver-streaked hair and kind eyes that crinkled at the corners when she smiled. Something about her demeanor intrigued Marcus, and he found himself looking forward to serving her table. As Marcus approached the table, he noticed the woman was dining alone. This wasn't uncommon, but there was something about her that made him pause. She seemed lost in thought, her fingers tracing the pattern on the tablecloth absent-mindedly. "Good evening, ma'am. Welcome to the Silver Spoon. My name is Marcus, and I'll be your server tonight. May I start you off with something to drink?" he asked, his voice warm and professional. The woman looked up, her eyes focusing on Marcus. For a moment, he thought he saw a flicker of recognition in her gaze, but it disappeared so quickly he convinced himself he had imagined it. "Hello, Marcus," she said, her voice soft but clear. "I'd love a glass of white wine, please. Whatever you recommend." As Marcus turned to fetch the wine, couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this woman than met the eye. When he returned with a crisp Chardonnay, she was studying the menu intently. "Have you decided on your meal, or would you like a few more minutes?" Marcus inquired. The woman smiled. "I think I'm ready. I'll have the pan-seared scallops, please." As Marcus jotted down her order, she added, "And Marcus, would you mind joining me for a moment? I have something I'd like to discuss with you." Taken aback by this unusual request, Marcus hesitated. It wasn't standard practice to sit with customers, but something in the woman's tone made him curious. He glanced around, noting that his other tables were settled for the moment. "Of course, ma'am. I have a few minutes," he replied, pulling out a chair and sitting down across from her. The woman leaned forward slightly, her eyes never leaving Marcus's face. "I want to thank you for your service tonight, Marcus. But more than that, I want to thank you for something you did a long time ago. Something you probably don't even remember." Marcus's brow furrowed in confusion. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but I don't understand. Have we met before?" She shook her head, a sad smile playing on her lips. "No, we haven't met. 5 years ago, you changed my life." As Marcus listened, bewildered, the woman reached into her purse and pulled out a folded piece of paper. She smoothed it out on the table, revealing a newspaper clipping. The headline read, "Local hero saves woman from burning car." "This is you, isn't it?" she asked, pointing to a grainy photo of a younger Marcus, his face smudged with soot, helping paramedics load someone into an ambulance. Marcus's eyes widened in recognition. The memory of that day came flooding back. The screeching tires, the smell of burning rubber, the heat of the flames. He had been walking home from a late-night study session at the library when he witnessed the car crash. Without thinking, he had rushed to help, pulling the unconscious driver from the wreckage moments before the car exploded. "Yes, that's me," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "But how did you know?" The woman's eyes filled with tears. "Because the woman you saved that day was my daughter, Emily." Marcus sat back in his chair, stunned by the revelation. He remembered the accident vividly, but he had never known what happened to the woman he had saved. After giving his statement to the police, he had gone home, showered off the soot, and tried to push the traumatic event from his mind. "Emily?" he repeated, the name feeling foreign on his tongue. Is she okay? The woman nodded, wiping away a tear. She's alive, thanks to you. She suffered severe injuries in the crash, including damage to her spine that left her paralyzed from the waist down. But she's alive, and she's thriving. She's a motivational speaker now, sharing her story of survival and resilience with others. Marcus felt a lump form in his throat. He had often wondered about the impact of his actions that night, but he had never imagined this. I don't know what to say. I'm just glad I was there to help. You did more than help, Marcus. You gave my daughter a second chance at life. And in doing so, you changed our entire family's trajectory. The woman reached across the table, grasping Marcus's hand. My name is Linda, by the way. Linda Thompson. As Linda spoke, Marcus found himself transported back to that fateful night. He remembered the fear that had gripped him as he approached the burning car, the adrenaline that had surged through his veins as he pulled Emily from the wreckage. He had acted on instinct, never considering the long-term consequences of his actions. I've been searching for you for years, Linda continued. Emily wanted to thank you personally, but we had no way of finding you. The police report only listed you as a Good Samaritan, no contact information. It wasn't until last week when my husband and I were dining here that I recognized you from that old newspaper photo. Marcus shook his head in disbelief. I can't believe you found me after all this time. And here, I'll place it. Linda smiles. The universe has a way of bringing people together when they need it most. And Marcus, I think you needed to hear this just as much as we needed to tell you. As the reality of the situation sank in, Marcus felt a whirlwind of emotion. Pride in his past actions, humility in the face of Linda's gratitude, and a sudden, overwhelming sense of purpose. For years, he had been going through the motions, feeling stuck in a job that didn't align with his dreams. But now, hearing about the profound impact he had made on Emily's life, felt a spark ignite within him. Linda, he said, his voice filled with newfound determination, thank you for sharing this with me. I never imagined that my actions that night would have such far-reaching consequences. Linda squeezed his hand. That's often the way with acts of kindness, Marcus. We rarely see the full extent of the ripples we create. In that moment, Marcus made a decision. He couldn't continue living his life as if that night had never happened. He needed to embrace the part of himself that had rushed into danger to save a stranger's life. I want to meet Emily, he said, surprising himself with the intensity of his words. If that's okay with you and her, of course, I'd like to hear her story. Linda's face lit up. Oh, Marcus, she would love that. In fact, she's giving a speech at a local community center next week. Would you like to come? Marcus nodded enthusiastically. I'd be honored. As he stood up to return to his duties, Marcus felt as if a weight had been lifted from his shoulders. For the first time in years, he felt a sense of purpose, connection to something greater than himself. Over the next week, Marcus threw himself into researching Emily's story. He watched videos of her speeches online, marveling at her strength and positivity in the face of adversity. He found himself inspired by her resilience, and it made him question his own life choices. The night of Emily's speech arrived, and Marcus sat in the audience, his heart pounding with anticipation. As Emily wheeled onto the stage, her presence commanding and her smile radiant, Marcus felt a surge of emotion. This was the woman he had saved, now changing lives with her words and her example. Emily's speech was powerful, detailing her journey from the accident to her current role as a motivational speaker. She spoke of the stranger who had saved her life, describing him as her guardian angel. When she finished, the audience gave her a standing ovation. After the speech, Linda introduced Marcus to Emily. The moment was charged with emotion as Emily grasped his hands, tears streaming down her face. Thank you, she said simply, her voice choked with gratitude. You gave me a second chance at life, and I've tried to make the most of it every day since. As they talked, Marcus felt a shift within himself. Emily's strength and determination in the face of adversity made his own struggles seem small in comparison. He realized that he had been letting fear and complacency hold him back, pursuing his true passions. In the days that followed, Marcus made a series of life-changing decisions. He gave notice at the restaurant, enrolled in a firefighter training program, and began volunteering at a local youth center. The spark that had been ignited by Linda's revelation had grown into a flame, driving him to make a difference in his community. However, these changes didn't come without challenges. Marcus's family was concerned about the risks associated with firefighting, and he faced financial strain as he juggled training and part-time work. There were moments of doubt when he wondered if he had made the right choice. But every time he faltered, Marcus thought of Emily and the impact one selfless act had made. He remembered the feeling of pulling her from that burning car, and it renewed his determination to dedicate his life to helping others. As Marcus immersed himself in his new path, he found an unexpected ally in Tom, a veteran firefighter who took him under his wing. Tom, a gruff but kind-hearted man in his 50s, recognized the passion and dedication in Marcus and became determined to help him succeed. "You've got the heart for this job, kid," Tom told him one day after a particularly grueling training session. "But heart alone won't save lives. You need skill, strategy, and teamwork." Under Tom's guidance, Marcus pushed himself harder than he ever had before. He learned about fire behavior, rescue techniques, and emergency medical procedures. Physical demands were intense, but Marcus found that he thrived under pressure. Meanwhile, Marcus's relationship with Emily and Linda continued to grow. He became a regular at Emily's speeches, drawing inspiration from her words and using them to fuel his own journey. Emily, in turn, began incorporating Marcus's story into her talks, using it as an example of how one person's actions can have a profound impact on others. As Marcus progressed in his training, he also became more involved in the community. He started a program at the youth center teaching fire safety to kids, drawing on his own experience to emphasize the importance of quick thinking and bravery in emergency situations. One day, while Marcus was volunteering at the center, a young boy named Jamal approached him. Jamal, a shy 10-year-old from a troubled home, had been a regular at Marcus's fire safety classes. "Mr. Marcus," Jamal said hesitantly, "do you think I could be a firefighter?" Marcus knelt down to Jamal's level, looking the boy in the eye. "Absolutely, Jamal. It takes hard work and dedication, but if you set your mind to it, you can do anything." As he spoke those words, Marcus realized how much he had changed. Just months ago, he had been stuck in a job he didn't love, feeling powerless to change his circumstances. Now, he was not only pursuing his own dreams but inspiring others to do the same. The secondary plot of Marcus's firefighter training and community involvement served to reinforce the themes of the main story: the ripple effect of kindness, power of second chances, and the importance of living with purpose. It also provided a backdrop against which his personal growth could be measured, as he transformed from a disillusioned waiter to a man dedicated to making a difference in his community. As Marcus continued his firefighter training and deepened his involvement with Emily's motivational speaking events, he found himself at the center of an expanding network of relationships that both challenged and supported him. His friendship with Emily blossomed into a deep mutual respect. They began meeting regularly for coffee, sharing their experiences and dreams. Emily's perspective on life after her near-death experience provided Marcus with invaluable insights. "You know, Marcus," Emily said during one of their meetups, "saving my life wasn't just a one-time thing. Every time you put on that firefighter uniform, you're potentially saving someone else. You're carrying forward that same spirit, selflessness." These words resonated deeply with Marcus, reinforcing his commitment to his new path. He found himself opening up to Emily about his fears and doubts, something he had rarely done with anyone before. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm cut out for this," he admitted one day. "Training is brutal and the responsibility, it's overwhelming at times." Emily reached across the table, squeezing his hand. "That's exactly why you're perfect for this, Marcus. You understand the weight of what you're doing. It's not just a job for you, it's a calling." Meanwhile, Marcus's relationship with Tom, his firefighter mentor, evolved from a strictly professional one to something akin to a father-son bond. Tom's gruff exterior belied a wealth of wisdom and compassion, which he shared generously with Marcus. During a particularly grueling training exercise, when Marcus was on the verge of giving up, Tom pulled him aside. "Listen, son," he said, his voice uncharacteristically gentle. "This job isn't just about physical strength, it's about mental toughness and heart. And you've got more heart than anyone I've seen in years." These words gave Marcus the boost he needed to push through his doubts and redouble his efforts. As Marcus's circle widened, he also found himself becoming a mentor figure to young Jamal from the youth center. The boy's interest in firefighting had grown, and he peppered Marcus with questions at every opportunity. One Saturday, Marcus invited Jamal to the fire station for a tour. As they walked through the facility, Jamal's eyes wide with wonder, Marcus felt a surge of pride and responsibility. "Remember, Jamal," he said as they stood next to a gleaming fire truck. "Being a firefighter is about more than just putting out fires. It's about being there for your community, about facing your fears to help others." Jamal nodded solemnly, hanging on every word. "I want to be brave like you, Mr. Marcus." These words hit Marcus hard, reminding him of the impact he was having not just through his actions, but through his example. Throughout this period, Marcus's relationship with Linda, Emily's mother, also deepened. She became a source of maternal support, often inviting him over for family dinners, offering words of encouragement when the challenges of his new path seemed overwhelming. During one such dinner, Linda raised her glass in a toast. "To Marcus," she said, her eyes shining with emotion, "who not only saved my daughter's life, but continues to inspire us all with his courage and dedication." As Marcus looked around the table at the faces of Emily, Linda, and Emily's father, he felt a sense of belonging he had never experienced before. These people, who had started as strangers, had become a second family to him. This expanding web of relationships served to anchor Marcus in his new life, providing support, inspiration, and a sense of purpose. Each person, Emily, Tom, Jamal, Linda, reflected a different aspect of his journey, from the life-changing moment of the car rescue to his current path as a firefighter in training. Through these connections, Marcus was not only transforming his own life, touching the lives of others in profound ways. He was living proof of the ripple effect of one act of kindness, and each day he was creating new ripples that would spread out in ways he couldn't yet imagine. The day of Marcus's final firefighter examination arrived, bringing with it a mix of excitement and nervousness. This was the culmination of months of rigorous training, both physical and mental. If he passed, he would officially become a firefighter, turning his newfound purpose into a career. As Marcus suited up in his gear, he felt the weight of expectation on his shoulders. His family, Emily, Linda, Tom, and even young Jamal were all rooting for him. He couldn't let them down. The exam was grueling, testing every skill Marcus had learned. He crawled through smoke-filled rooms, carried heavy equipment up flights of stairs, and demonstrated his knowledge of fire behavior and rescue technique. As he progressed through each stage, he could hear Tom's voice in his head, coaching him, urging him on. Just as Marcus thought he had completed the final task, an unexpected scenario unfolded. The examiners announced a simulated multi-vehicle accident, trapped victims. A situation eerily similar to the night he had saved Emily. For a moment, Marcus froze. The memories of that night came flooding back. The heat, fear, urgency. But then, he heard Emily's voice in his mind. "You're carrying forward that same spirit of selflessness." With renewed determination, Marcus sprang into action. He coordinated with his team, assessing the scene and prioritizing the rescue effort. As he worked to free the victims from the wreckage, he drew on every ounce of training and experience he had gained. Time seemed to slow down as Marcus focused on the task at hand. He could feel the eyes of the examiners on him, but he blocked out everything except the rescue operation. With steady hands and calm words, he extracted the last victim just as the simulation timer ran out. Exhausted and covered in sweat, Marcus stood before the examination panel, awaiting their verdict. The lead examiner, a stern-faced woman with graying hair, looked at him intently. "Mr. Johnson," she began, her voice neutral, "that was one of the most impressive performances we've seen in years. Your quick thinking and leadership during the surprise scenario were exemplary. Congratulations, you've passed with flying colors." Relief and joy washed over Marcus. He had done it. He was now, officially, a firefighter. As news of Marcus's success spread, celebrations were in order. His family, friends, and newfound support system gathered at a local restaurant to commemorate his achievement. The atmosphere was jubilant, with laughter and congratulations filling the air. However, amidst the festivities, Marcus noticed his parents exchanging worried glances. When he finally got a moment alone with them, his mother voiced her concerns. "Marcus, honey, we're so proud of you," she began, her voice tinged with apprehension. "But this job, it's so dangerous. Are you sure this is what you want?" His father nodded in agreement. "Son, you have a business degree. There are safer ways to make a difference, ways that don't put your life on the line every day." Marcus felt a pang of guilt. He knew his parents had worked hard to provide him with opportunities, and here he was, choosing a path that filled them with worry. But he also knew he couldn't go back to his old life, not after everything he had experienced. "Mom, Dad," he said, taking their hands in his, "I understand your concerns, but this isn't just a job for me, it's a calling. Remember when you taught me about the importance of helping others? This is me living those values." His parents exchanged looks, still unconvinced. Marcus realized that simply telling them wasn't enough. He needed to show them. Over the next few weeks, Marcus invited his parents to various firefighter community events. They attended fire safety workshops where Marcus taught children about emergency preparedness. They visited the fire station and met Tom and the other firefighters, witnessing firsthand camaraderie and professionalism. But the moment that truly changed everything came unexpectedly. During a routine family dinner, the smoke alarm in the Johnson household suddenly went off. As everyone panicked, Marcus calmly took charge, quickly identified the source, a small grease fire in the kitchen, and expertly extinguished it before it could spread. As the smoke cleared, Marcus's parents looked at him with new eyes. They saw not just their son, but a capable, confident professional who had just prevented a potential disaster. "I guess we underestimated you, son," his father said, his voice thick with emotion. "You're not just playing at being a hero. You really are one." His mother hugged him tightly. "We're still going to worry. That's our job as parents. But we're also incredibly proud of the man you've become." With his parents' blessing, Marcus felt a weight lift from his shoulders. He had successfully bridged the gap between his past and his future, bringing his family along on his journey of transformation. The resolution of this conflict marked a significant milestone in Marcus's journey. It represented not just his parents' acceptance of his new path, but also his own complete embrace of his new identity. He was no longer Marcus the waiter, or even Marcus the accidental hero. He was Marcus the firefighter, dedicated to serving and protecting his community. With the support of his family secured and his new career underway, Marcus found himself at a turning point. He was no longer just reacting to circumstances or trying to find his place in the world. Now, he was actively shaping his future and the futures of those around him. This new direction manifested in various ways. At the fire station, Marcus took on additional responsibilities, volunteering for community outreach programs and mentoring new recruits. He remembered how Tom had guided him and wanted to pay that forward. His relationship with Emily evolved as well. Inspired by her motivational speaking, Marcus began sharing his own story at her events. He spoke about the night of the rescue, his journey to becoming a firefighter, and the importance of seizing second chances. His talks resonated deeply with audiences, adding a powerful complement to Emily's message of resilience. One day, after a particularly moving joint presentation, Emily turned to Marcus with a gleam in her eye. "You know," she said, "we make a pretty good team. Have you ever thought about doing this more regularly? There are so many people out there who could benefit from hearing your story." Marcus considered her words carefully. He loved being a firefighter, but he also recognized the impact his story could have on others. Perhaps there was a way to do both, to serve his community as a firefighter and inspire others through speaking engagements. "I think you might be onto something," he replied, a slow smile spreading across his face. "Maybe it's time to take on a new challenge." This conversation marked the beginning of a new chapter in Marcus's life. While maintaining his duties as a firefighter, he began working with Emily to develop a motivational program aimed at inspiring youth in underprivileged communities. They called it Phoenix Rising. a nod to both the fiery nature of their shared experience and the theme of rebirth and transformation. As Marcus embraced this new direction, he felt a sense of fulfillment he had never known before. He was not just living for himself anymore, but for the countless lives he could touch through his work as both a firefighter and a motivational speaker. As Marcus stood before a group of high school students, sharing his story as part of the Phoenix Rising program, couldn't help but reflect on the incredible journey that had brought him to this point. 5 years ago, he began, his voice strong and clear. I was just a waiter, feeling stuck and unfulfilled. I never imagined I'd be standing here today, not just as a firefighter, but as someone with a message to share. He paused, looking out at the sea of young faces before him. In their eyes, he saw reflections of his younger self, full of potential, unsure of their path. But here's the thing, he continued. Sometimes life has a way of pushing you towards your true calling. For me, it was a car accident and a chance to save a life. For you, it might be something entirely different. Key is to be ready for that moment and to have the courage to embrace it when it comes. As he spoke, Marcus realized how much he had grown. The shy, uncertain waiter was gone, replaced by a confident, purpose-driven man. He had faced his fears, overcome challenges, and discovered strengths he never knew he possessed. His relationship with Emily had deepened into a partnership built on shared experiences and mutual respect. Together, they were making a real difference in people's lives, their combined stories offering hope and inspiration to those facing adversity. His bond with his parents had strengthened too. Their initial worry had transformed into fierce pride, and they had become some of his most vocal supporters. Even his younger siblings had been inspired by his journey, with his sister recently expressing interest in pursuing a career in emergency medicine. Marcus thought about Tom, his mentor at the fire station, who had seen potential in him when he was just a rookie. Now, Marcus was paying that forward, guiding new recruits with the same patience and wisdom Tom had shown him. And then there was young Jamal from the youth center. The boy's admiration had turned into determination, and he was now actively working towards his dream of becoming a firefighter. Seeing Jamal's progress filled Marcus with a sense of pride and responsibility. As he concluded his talk, Marcus shared a final thought with the students. Remember, he said, every one of you has the power to make a difference. It might not always be as dramatic as pulling someone from a burning car, but every act of kindness, every moment of courage, has the potential to change lives, including your own. The applause that followed was thunderous, but what moved Marcus most were the earnest faces of the students, many of whom lingered afterwards to ask questions or share their own dreams. As he left the school that day, Marcus felt a profound sense of gratitude. He was grateful for that fateful night 5 years ago, for the challenges he had faced, for the people who had supported him along the way. But most of all, he was grateful for the opportunity to live a life of purpose, to wake up each day knowing that his actions could make a real difference in the world. As Marcus drove home from the school, the setting sun painted the sky in hues of orange and pink. It reminded him of the flames he had faced that night 5 years ago. But now, instead of fear, he felt a warm sense of purpose. He thought about the journey that had brought him here. From a waiter unsure of his path to a firefighter and motivational speaker touching lives every day. The transformation hadn't been easy, but it had been profoundly rewarding. Marcus realized that his story was a testament to the ripple effect, kindness, and courage. One split-second decision to help a stranger had set off a chain reaction, changing not just his life, the lives of countless others. Emily, Linda, Tom, Jamal, the students he spoke to, each connection was a ripple spreading outward, creating waves of positive change. As he pulled into his driveway, Marcus's phone buzzed with a text from Emily. Great job today. Ready for tomorrow's talk at the community center? Marcus smiled as he typed his reply. Always ready. Every day is a new chance to make a difference. And that, he realized, was the heart of his journey. Every day was an opportunity to choose courage, to extend kindness, to inspire others. Whether he was rushing into a burning building or sharing his story with a room full of strangers, Marcus was living proof that one person could indeed make a difference. As he stepped out of his car, the last rays of sunlight glinting off his firefighter badge, Marcus felt ready for whatever challenges tomorrow might bring. After all, every moment was a chance to create a new ripple, touch another life, be the change he wished to see in the world.